Okay, let's dive straight into this explainer and build the ultimate roadmap for aligning your mental programming with your physical execution. We all want to be stronger, healthier, and just generally more consistent. But so often it feels like we're literally fighting our own biology to get there, right? Well, today we're bridging that gap between psychology and physiology.
We absolutely have to start with this hard-hitting truth from fitness expert Mike, who hits the nail on the head regarding the universal struggle of fitness failure despite hard work. Think about it. Have you ever spent an hour just sweating it out in the gym, only to come home and completely derail all that progress because you couldn't resist tearing through the kitchen pantry? Yeah, you are definitely not alone in that.
So the absolutely crucial point here is that it's rarely a lack of effort holding you back. It's misdirected energy, and that is exactly what we need to fix. And we do that by building a cohesive mind-body blueprint. Because honestly, if your mind is constantly craving sugar just to soothe stress and your gym time is spent doing the wrong movements, you're essentially just spinning your wheels in the mud.
All right, part 1, the mind and conquering cravings.
To really understand this, we're drawing on some truly fascinating insights from sports psychologist Dr. Marco Rothslag and fitness creator Pamela Reif. As Pamela points out, sugar itself isn't inherently evil, right? It can actually be a great energy source right before a really grueling workout. But the actual root of the problem is emotional hunger. This is when we eat to process stress, or out of pure frustration, or maybe because we convince ourselves we quote-unquote deserve a reward after a long, hard workday. We end up eating to soothe our emotions, not to actually power our workouts.
To understand why this happens, think of your brain kind of like a giant mixing board. Right behind your forehead is your rational prefrontal cortex. That is the logical side of you, the side that knows eating an entire cake probably isn't going to help your fitness goals. But deep inside your brain is the limbic system, which is your emotional center. Dr. Marco explains that in moments of high stress or due to deep conditioning, that limbic system completely overpowers your logic. It basically grabs the craving slider on your mental mixing board and cranks it all the way up to a 10, completely drowning out your logical brain.
Moving on to decoupling the brain's emotions. So the big question is, how do we actually turn that emotional slider back down? Well, it's not about white-knuckling it and using sheer willpower to fight a level 10 craving, because let's be real, willpower eventually breaks. It's actually about decoupling the emotion from the food so the craving just disappears entirely. Dr. Marker reveals this fascinating technique inspired by EMDR, which is a very popular trauma processing therapy. It uses lateral eye movements to literally shift your brain's processing. Here's how it works. You focus on the craving, you pinpoint exactly where you feel that anticipation in your physical body, and then you just move your eyes back and forth laterally, side to side, for about 30 seconds. This rapid eye movement physically pulls neurological activity away from that emotional limbic system and pushes it right back into your rational prefrontal cortex. It literally hands the control back to your logic. But here's the catch. To do this effectively, we have to do a little digging and identify our specific triggers. Maybe you unknowingly use sugar to compensate for sadness or feeling inadequate. Or maybe it's actually an illogical positive association, like associating chocolate with the profound safety and love of a childhood Christmas. By identifying these hidden emotional triggers and using techniques like those lateral eye movements to process them, we can permanently decouple those emotions from our food choices. You finally stop sabotaging your gym progress because the food just loses its emotional magic.
Okay, part 2, the body and executing the physical.
Now that we've essentially rewired the mental engine and reclaimed our energy, we are drawing directly from fitness expert Jeff Nippard to guarantee your physical energy goes exactly where it belongs. Out of the thousands of movements he's evaluated, Jeff aggregates these specific exercises as the absolute kings of the upper body. First up, pull-ups. They're just unbeatably powerful for your back, mostly because you simply cannot fake a strict pull-up. Next, the incline bench press, which perfectly combines vertical and horizontal pressing to build out the chest and shoulders. Then we've got the chest-supported T-bar row to really isolate that mid-back mass without putting unnecessary stress in your lower spine. And finally, lateral raises, which are the non-negotiable secret to building that broad, highly aesthetic X-frame. Truly, if you just focused your physical energy right here, you'd be miles ahead of the pack.
Next up, essential lower body strength. Now, we absolutely cannot ignore the bottom half. The literal foundation of our physique is where true metabolic power and strength are actually built. Check this out. A staggering 55% of muscle mass is located in a man's lower body, and it's actually 58% for women. This data brilliantly proves why leg training is absolutely 100% non-negotiable. Skipping leg day literally means you are neglecting more than half of your body's total potential for metabolic burn and strength development. You just can't do it. So how do we train that bottom half optimally? We build a highly structured protocol. First things first, you have to prep the joints. Fitness Blender heavily emphasizes mobility warm-ups, like alternating hip circles and ankle rockers, and this is absolutely critical for getting deep into your lifts safely. Then we hit Jeff Nippard's undisputed heavyweight champions. We start with the squat, which he rightly crowns the #1 exercise of all time for total body power. We follow that up with the Romanian deadlift to really hinge and stretch those hamstrings, and then we finish off with walking lunges to completely target and frankly annihilate the glutes. It is simple, it's heavy, and it is wildly effective.
All right, let's pull it all together. The mind-body blueprint integration.
So looking at the big picture here, true, sustainable fitness isn't just about what you do in the gym for 1 hour a day. It's really a 50-50 equation. It only happens when your psychological craving control perfectly matches your optimal physical execution. You've got to use psychology to conquer the kitchen, and then use science-backed biomechanics to conquer the gym. Borrowing from Dr. Marco's really powerful hypnotic conclusion, I want to leave you with this final thought to visualize right now. Imagine your cravings are at an absolute zero. Imagine your workouts are focused strictly on the most elite, effective movements possible. What is the single greatest benefit you will unlock when you are finally the healthiest, strongest version of yourself? Hold on to that image, let it drive your very next decision, and I'll see you in the next explainer.